My name is Catherine Oleksiw, and I currently am chair of the Business Psychology Department for the Chicago School, Dallas location. At the Chicago School, I manage and oversee 3 programs: a master's and MA program in industrial organizational psychology, and 2 PhD programs, one in organizational leadership and the other in business psych with a consulting track. Since I was a little kid, I've been interested in why people do what they do and what they are thinking about and how they're making their decisions. And I had an opportunity in high school when I was a senior to take university classes at a local university. The town school board paid for the classes, and I took my first course, college course I was a senior in high school. It was Introduction to Psychology. And then I followed that up with an Intro to Philosophy course the next semester. And that got me going. I knew that psychology was the area I wanted to study. And it's been quite an adventure, starting with general psych and then moving into ed psych and then moving into business psych. I ended up getting a PhD in ed psych, and it was I called it my toolbox because it was courses in statistics and research methods and program evaluation and test construction. My dad never understood what I did, and he would ask, "So, Kath, what are you doing?" And I said, "Dad," and he was a wonderful, he could renovate a room by blinking his eyes, I swear. So he knew tools. So I said, "Dad, it's my toolbox. I'm able to create change with all of this, this new knowledge I have." There's been one principal experience I've had early in life that led to me even thinking about having my own business. And that was doing consulting while I was in grad school. There was an older student who wasn't in our cohort, and he found consulting gigs. And then we would get involved with the technical skills of data analysis and reporting. So we didn't have to worry about the marketing. So we learned the flow of consulting. And when I graduated with my PhD, I continued to do that work. I would find someone who needed the work done, and I worked out the fee, and then I would get the work done. But I never actually established myself as my own business until later in my career. And then I registered as a business, and I got certified by the Small Business Administration and really authenticated my work. Another good example of this, of having the tools, is at one point when I was actually ABD, all but dissertation. It's an acronym that's used where you've completed the comps, you've completed all your coursework, and it's like the dissertation is lingering in your future. So my career has primarily been in the government space. While I was in grad school, I worked for a project that was funded by the Federal Department of Education, the Race Desegregation Assistance Center. We provided training and consulting to school districts in the area of community and conflict resolution. Before that, I worked in municipal government as a statistician in the tax assessor's office, which was great because it was me showing myself that, yes, you have a toolkit. And that's what my PhD, that doctorate was. It was a toolkit on statistics and research methods and evaluation and test construction. And then I moved on when I did consulting with a management consulting firm. I was leading on major projects, mainly in the area of education and health. And actually had a gig that took me to the country of Jordan, working with the Ministry of Education for a while. So it's been an exciting trip. Measured Transitions has been in existence for now about 13 years. And I have worked in the capacity of basically the president of the company, sometimes full-time and sometimes part-time. There's an ebb and a flow to it, depending on what's happening and the marketing that I've done, and because most of my work is referrals. I develop a good reputation, and then people refer people back to me. My clients do that, which is quite helpful. And the mission of Measure Transitions is to support and develop performance management systems, primarily for nonprofits and higher ed, and also K through 12. But I primarily work with higher ed and nonprofits. I will work with them on the technical aspect of what they need, but I also always incorporate a softer approach to keep them engaged in the process, because my objective, which is, I don't usually write this in my proposals to them, and it's not in the contract, but I am always focused on them building their capacity. So anything that I develop, in some cases, ends up being a co-creation, and that's intentional. I know that I have peers who pride themselves on being the consultant for an organization for 15 years. To me, that's not a measure of success. A measure of success is to build the capacity of an organization so they can eventually assume at least part of the responsibility for, sometimes it's a survey. So I'll develop the survey, and it'll be related to what they need for evaluation, and then I will lean in to them and help them. There'll be a staff member who's excited about it, and I'll train them. So the mission is systems related and capacity building. Those are the two primary objectives of the organization, my business. I have always wanted to work at university since I was a little kid. So when I get on a campus, wherever I am, if I'm traveling, I put my foot on a campus and I feel like I'm home. I just love the space, the learning space. So I always intended to work in academia. Once I got my PhD, I wanted the PhD primarily so I could teach, but not full-time, part-time. And when I did get my PhD, the first thing I did was I went to the local university, which was my alma mater, and I worked for them as an adjunct for 10 years, teaching undergrad and grad courses in statistics and research methods. Dissertation, the whole process is dear to my heart. I remember it vividly, and it has been decades since I went through the process. It is life-changing, that process. I tell my students, there are only 2%, the percentage is very small, between 1% and 2% of people in the world who have a PhD, and they all freak out and they can't believe it at first. And I say, then I follow that up with, so it's not easy, it's intentional. It's intentional that there aren't that many people, because it's hard to do. And the dissertation is the hardest step in that process. And I have learned in the years I've been advising, because I advised at my alma mater, at University of Hartford, PsyD students on their dissertation, and I'm currently doing it now with the students I have in organizational leadership and business psychology. Students can get through the design of the research and conducting the research and then writing it up. And that, to me, part of that is the mechanics of it, and also having enough intelligence to do it. But what gets a student through a PhD and that dissertation process is grit. It's grit. It's pure grit, and it's courage. And to me, those are related to soft skills. Again, I talk a lot about soft skills in my life. It's one of the areas where it's the psychological energy that, I guess, in terms of my curiosity, that I bring to things. But they need help, I realized, with management, of overcoming imposter syndrome, and project management and management of work-life balance. And if they don't have all that, then they will continue to get stuck. And whenever a student tells me they're stuck, I stop the conversation about their design and we talk about why they're stuck. And also in the book, I will be incorporating some guidance for faculty and how to best address when a student gets stuck. Because they're usually not stuck related to their content. It's related to the process of moving through that journey. There's a Churchill quote that I regularly share with my students when they're stuck, and that is, never give up on something that you think about every day. And it resonates with most students. They'll sit back, their body language will shift, and they'll sit back and they'll go, oh, yeah, and I'll say, so is this still your dream? And they always say, yes, yes, Dr. O. They call me Dr. O. Yes, Dr. O, it is. And then they relax, and then we continue the discussion. I've always given back. I was raised by parents who considered service a given. You always gave back. And they were wonderful role models in that way. My dad was volunteer fire chief for like 25 years, and my mom volunteered at the schools, and so we grew up with that. Me and my siblings and I, we grew up with that sense of giving. So with my consulting and coaching, there's always a pro bono element of that. There's someone who may need help with career coaching, and it's a nephew of my best friend, and so I will lean in. So sometimes it's singular, it's one-on-one that I do my pro bono. Periodically over the past many years, I have done coaching through Stand Beside Them, which is an organization that provides pro bono coaching for veterans and their spouses. And that has been, gosh, talk about a win-win. It's so rewarding to help these people who have given their lives for us. And so that is probably one of the most meaningful contributions I'd make to my community is the pro bono veteran coaching. And another highlight of giving back is working with the North Texas chapter of the International Coaching Federation when I was president of the board, and I instituted standard operating procedures. So we took the administration of the board and the chapter to a whole nother level, and we ended up getting, the chapter received an award that year from the International Coaching Federation, and it was the first time we had ever gotten an award from ICF, and that remains incredibly meaningful for me. So I'm excited to be adding to my Measured Transitions business a third arm, which is speaking, professional speaking. I love to be in front of people on stages, getting their attention and seeing how well I can keep them informed and interested. And also writing, working on the book, on the dissertation process, but also getting into writing that's more related to the arts, which is poetry. I've had my poetry published in the past, so getting a little bit back into that work, and then getting my photography integrated into my academic work, more around qualitative research. I'm excited. I don't have one experience that's taught me the most, but I have a few that have maintained themselves as major themes as I've moved through my career and my life. One is that in order for people to be engaged, they have to feel safe and comfortable in the space, and I call it safe space, and I actually am very mindful about creating and maintaining safe space for my students and my colleagues and anyone who's on my team. And part of that safe space is what my values are that I bring to anything. And I tell anyone who works with me that I have 3 major values that I live my life by. And number 1 is everybody deserves respect. And number 2, that everyone does high quality work, including myself. And number 3, family comes first. And I live by that, and I've learned, it's a lesson for me because I learned it by working with people and seeing how they, when I see people relax and their body language shifts when you're talking to them because you're asking them questions about what did you do this weekend and how's your family, it's very powerful. It connects, it creates a connection that, that drives the work in a good way. It's been a real joy working with Marquis Who's Who. It has given me an opportunity to self-reflect at a level that I've not done in my career in life. The questions that I was asked in the interview, and I had more than one interview, were very, very powerful to the point where sometimes I didn't know how to answer them, and I had, and then I took time and I was able to respond. It's had an impact on me in terms of acknowledging that I'm accomplished, but not done. I have more to do, which is exciting, because I see life as an adventure. So it's been a good journey with Marquis Who's Who.